Supercell is continuing to panic after massive backlash and now a creator boycott. They are now desperately trying to make amends and win their player base back. In response, they have released statements directly to creators in the community and are implementing changes within Clash Royale. But is this enough to save their game? Well, today, that's what we're going to be getting into. Welcome back to the series that is being dragged harder than the low taper fade. We have some more Supercell slop to fill the trough today. So, a quick recap of what we've covered on the channel in regards to Supercell over the past couple months. Supercell released their level 16 in Heroes update, which was met with a lot of backlash from the community and players. After that, we covered Supercell's use of copyright strikes against several different creators. And finally, in the last video, we covered the removal of creator Mo Light from their creator rewards program. Since I just dropped that video about a week ago, there have been a lot of developments in the story. And with our update today, this isn't just Clash Royale. We actually have Clash of Clans facing some controversy as well for changes to their monetization and passes structure. All right, well, this new controversy was sparked by the Supercell CEO releasing a blog post. And this upset people for a lot of different reasons. But the main one was the lack of credit that was given to creators for reviving their games. We have the blog post here, released February 9th, called "The Best Games Haven't Been Made Yet." I'll be skipping around, I'm not going to be reading all of this. I'm going to link the blog post in the description if you want to, but I just want to highlight some important areas of it. People sometimes ask why I write these blog posts and share Supercell's inner workings so openly. So it's in everyone's interest to share and help each other, because when others succeed, it comes back to the whole community. Of course. It was a near record year that virtually matched our 2024 results. The year was driven mostly by an incredible, historic year of Clash Royale. Squad Busters became Supercell's first ever killed game after global launch. We should all learn as much as possible from that, so I will share some important learnings in this post, many of them painfully obvious in hindsight. I will give them a little bit of credit for acknowledging something as candidly as that. A lot of the time you'd expect a little more like PR speak and maybe not even directly acknowledging something like this and trying to bury it. Now, of course, there's plenty of that across the rest of the blog post, but I don't know, I thought I would at least mention it. It is an interesting time to be in the mobile games market. The market is largely flat with modest growth at best. In many ways, it feels like our industry is at a crossroads. Are we satisfied with the status quo, relying on optimization and incremental improvements to the great games we've already made? Or are we brave enough to dream bigger and be more ambitious about what this industry could become? And if we are more ambitious, what do we need to kick the industry into new growth? I mean, I said this in the last video, all Supercell had to do was nothing. If you had done your job, known your place, we'd all be fine right now. Obviously, they did not decide to go down that path. According to them, they want to try to innovate and push the market into a new place, which, I don't know, to me, that just seems like, how can we raise the revenue more? And there is one thing that I just want to say very clearly. I think myself and most people understand that Supercell is a company. Their job is to make money. We get that, all right? They're not evil for trying to make money off of their game. That's not people's real issue with them. If they want to just completely stuff their game with microtransactions, make things unreasonably expensive, make the game pay to win, they're free to do that. At the same time, the player base needs to be made aware, and they do need to receive criticism for these things. Every player should be able to have an informed decision if they want to support the company and support the games. That's the main goal of this series. If you want to continue to play the game after everything that we know about Supercell, that's fine, that's your personal decision. But at the same time, I think everybody should be aware of what's going on with them so they can make an informed choice for themselves. But, you know, on the flip side of this, you can be greedy and you can still deliver a great product. And in many cases, and we're going to cover some of them today, Supercell seems to be getting lazier. You can't be greedy and lazy. You kind of gotta pick and choose here, you know? Right after this introduction section, they released an update to the blog post, but we're going to bounce back to this because I want to cover it in chronological order. Royale's re-engaged players doubled. New players grew almost 500%. Every major measure of playtime and engagement grew significantly, and maybe most importantly, Clash Royale once again became the game to play with friends around the world. It felt like 2016 again. I want to take a moment to celebrate this because what happened deserves celebrating. A game approaching its 10th year didn't just hold on, it exploded. That's extraordinarily rare in our industry. It's proof of what's possible when a talented team relentlessly focuses on making things better for players. Now, right off the bat, many people reading that were in shock. Let's put it that way. I think with all the controversy going on with their recent updates, when people are thinking about what has made the game really successful in the past couple months, they don't go to additions and the dev team or the balance team.
Bro, the balance team need to get shot in
the obvious question. What did the team do? What did the team do? First, Sasha and the team are remarkably grounded given what they achieved.
We? Who's we?
Clash Royale is currently declining from its recent peak, so anything they've learned comes with the awareness that challenges remain. As Sasha put it, while this rare explosive growth that doesn't happen for most games has happened twice for us in the past 2 years, there are no certainties here. And while we may have learned a bit about this kind of growth, we haven't yet learned how to sustain it. One precondition for Royale's recent growth is the players themselves. For massive, rapid growth to happen, word of mouth discovery has to happen. So what drove Royale's explosion in 2025? It actually started before last year. The team made changes to progression, simplified the game by removing extraneous systems, like the season shop, and added desirable new content both in-game and out of game. All of this makes the game more approachable and makes progression more possible for all players. Itself, this doesn't create anything immediate, but it creates the ability for returning players to have a much better time if they return. In 2024, we started giving away Evos and had the first signs of sparks, but at the same time as the Goblin Journey update, which didn't land. Disappointment became negative and dampened sentiment for a while. But in early 2025, when sentiment had returned to a better state, a pretty unexpected spark helped start a blaze, with the help of Michael Bolton no less. The Barboltian campaign around Valentine's Day and the free Barbarian Evolution gift marked the start of Clash Royale's explosion. Evos had been around since June 2023, so as Sasha said, we think players like new content eventually, but perhaps not always in the moment. I didn't see a lot of people talking about this when they were discussing the blog post, but to me, this is such a crazy line. This is Supercell basically saying, we actually know what you like, you just don't know you like it yet. That's how it reads to me. Am I reading that wrong? Like they're saying like, we're adding new stuff and you're gonna like it eventually, even if you don't like it right now. We know better than you do. All right, and I wasn't around at the start of 2025 following Clash news, and I still don't follow it that closely, but I didn't even know who Michael Bolton was. You know, maybe like my reverse unk is showing, but he's an older musician, and he did like a tiny collab with Clash Royale apparently, where he made like a cover of a song, and they put him in some promotional material, and they're shouting him out for helping resurge Clash Royale. At least that's my understanding of it. It also takes innovation and risk-taking. The team launched Merge Tactics, a new gameplay mode born out of Supercell's canceled Clash mini project, turning a failure into fuel for something new. I will say that a lot of people do actually seem to like Merge Tactics. It wasn't really my thing. I only tried it out a couple times. Maybe I could have got more into it. I don't know. But I think this does give credit to their point where there are areas to innovate and improve the game and give people new ways to play and experience in a way that they're going to enjoy. Also just serves to highlight how they haven't been doing that with their recent updates. So it's like maybe the mission statement of what they're trying to do isn't bad and honestly might even be a good thing that really could help the game. They're just not executing correctly. What does catching fire look like? First, you see active players engaging more. As they do that, you see recently churned players return, then longer tail re-engagement. Finally, you see entirely new players show up. At first, it happens very slowly, but the virtuous cycle of word of mouth snowballs. None of our internal forecasts for either Brawl Stars or Royale predicted the ensuing rise in metrics right up until it actually happened. Forecasting in games is hard. So they give a lot of credit here to word of mouth making the game more popular. But you got to ask yourself, who are some of the largest contributors of word of mouth in these kind of situations?
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Oh my god!
Did you just come in your chair?
No! No! Holy shit!
This is kind of where you'd think they'd at least mention the creators, give them a little bit of a shout out, but there's nothing here. It just keeps going. The story doesn't end there. The Royale community is frustrated with some recent changes, and the team is listening and working to address it. The same dynamics that enable virtuous growth can enable a vicious cycle. As Sasha noted, at some point, once you begin to slide, it makes sense for word of mouth to turn negative. Again, this just kind of like seems like coping to me, like, you know, it's actually not that bad, but once somebody starts speaking bad about it, everybody else is going to do that too. You can't be legitimately unhappy with the changes. It's weird calling it a vicious cycle to me because I feel like that kind of takes a little bit of the blame off them. It's like almost as if they're blaming a bandwagon effect where, yeah, now like a couple people started talking bad about this. Now it's a vicious cycle where everybody's talking bad about it. But wrapping up our conversation, Sasha wanted everybody to know the team won't ever compromise trying to deliver value for all kinds of players. We have players who love to gain trophies, increase levels, earn new card forms, play for free, or spend their money. Of course.
Hello, I like money.
They aren't one thing, and in the mind of the team, Royale is the best mobile native gameplay ever released. We love it, we are crazy about it, this is why we will never break that promise. Alright, well after this, it gets into their game Squad Busters and why it shut down and just some overall transparency about that. It's kind of interesting, but you know, that's not really the focus of like scrutiny. If you're interested though, you can go read it. Like I said, I'll link it. So this blog post was released, and the drama really kicked off when Jynxzi reacted to the blog post. Most people credit him with the game's resurgence in popularity. I guess the numbers spiked right when he started playing it. And, you know, there's been a lot of collaborations and stuff that brought a lot of life back to the game with him involved in it. And as he was reading and reacting through it, he had a specific problem with them not crediting creators. He said he wasn't looking for credit for just himself or his name, but just the creators that make up a large part of the community that did bring the game back to relevance.
Definitely was not just me. It was me, Riley, Ken, Mo. I mean, so many creators that made the game better. Royale. I mean, the list goes on and on of how many people brought eyes to the game. So it's not just me. I don't even give a that they didn't put my name in here. I expected them to not put my name in here. I didn't care either way because I've only shit on the game for the past 2 months, 3 months since Heroes got implemented, which I'll do 1,000 times. I've only shit on the game, and I said exactly what's going to happen to the game. Where I draw the line in the sand is when they tried to take credit for the game's success. It's proof of what's possible when a talented team relentlessly focuses on making things better for players. What? None of the creators, none of the streamers, none of the YouTubers, none of the TikTokers, that's who's getting the credit. The team that murdered the game? Are you stupid? Brother, your team, your talented team, murdered the game. They killed the game. After reading what the CEO of Supercell just said, I hope the game dies.
He tweeted out that it felt like a giant spit in the face, and this is where the backlash started. Countless creators actually said they were going to start boycotting the game and even pulling out of scheduled tournaments in some cases. And this was enough to make Supercell update the blog post, and this was published on the 12th of February, so 3 days after that original blog post went live. Since this blog was posted on 10th February, I've seen the reaction to the Clash Royale section, and I want to address it directly. In short, I failed to acknowledge the role that creators, pro players, and the broader community played in Clash Royale's resurgence. That was my mistake, no one else's, and it runs counter to everything I believe about the impact creators have on our games and our business. I am sorry. You know what? Honestly, that's a pretty good apology. Like, that's not a YouTuber level, like, I'm sorry you feel that way. I never wanted to make this blog post kind of vibe, you know? Straight up just says, like, this is my fault. I'm taking responsibility for this. I am sorry. The intent was never to diminish anybody's contribution, but intent doesn't matter when the impact is real. I understand why it hurts, and that's on me. Throughout 2025, we saw creators self-organizing tournaments, celebrating Royale through art and memes, and reminding millions of people around the world why Clash Royale is special. Creators like Jynxzi returned to the game with incredible passion, investing their own time, money, and energy into bringing Clash Royale back to cultural relevance, and introducing many new players, including some of the biggest names in streaming, to the game. That kind of love for Royale can't be taken for granted, and it deserves to be acknowledged loudly and clearly. But overall, I mean, it's a pretty solid statement. It's definitely a little more humanizing, you know, taking blame, saying it's on him. Even if this says something that obviously should have been acknowledged when you're crediting the game's success in the first place, and really only making a correction after seeing the large amount of backlash from pretty much the community at large. Now, I have seen a theory that the reason that they initially left the creators out is because they wanted to present the success as more of their own and less something that was externally attributed maybe to the creators that were making content on their games. And, you know, that's fair enough. If you're like a shareholder in the company, you don't want people to say, oh, well, the game did so well last quarter because this guy that just decided to play our game brought in millions and millions of views. You want to say, well, we made these changes and this led to our revenue increasing a lot in the last quarter. Obviously, that looks a lot better, makes the team look more competent. But if the reason is actually that external traffic and content creators in the community brought in more players and spread that word of mouth, which they do acknowledge already in some sense, it's like, why not just attribute the correct amount of significance to it? Like, just own it at that point, you know? Now, I do want to highlight one of my favorite comments I've ever received on this YouTube channel really quickly. This was on my most recent Clash Royale video. I just think it's actually just hilarious. Guys, Supercell is doing this on purpose. They're intentionally killing the game so that when they do a massive event that fixes all the problems, there will be a surge in players coming back to Clash Royale, which will revive the game completely. Don't listen to the creators. They are paid by Supercell to intentionally spread that Clash Royale is dying. It's all to generate hype and grab more views. Don't boycott Supercell. It's what they want you to do. It's all a part of their plan. So then I responded. I said, this is genuinely schizo posting, bro. Also ratio. And then he responded, he said, W, paid actor. And then he linked this YouTube video and said, well.
Upcoming changes to Clash Royale. Over the past few months, you've shared a lot of feedback. A direct response to what you told us. Wait. One Evo slot, one hero slot, and the last can include either a hero or an Evo. I like that change. New evolutions. Hey! Oh my god! It's a good start. I think this is the first time where like Clash has actually been this receptive to shit. Probably in 10 years.
I don't think I have to explain this too deeply, but it just makes absolutely no sense for them to purposely kill their game to potentially bring people back. And that's just such a huge gamble for no reason. Like, if you're purposefully kicking people off of your game or trying to get them to leave, there's a pretty good chance they're not going to come back, especially if they already feel burned and they don't trust the company anymore. Like, company trust is something that's extremely hard to build, and it would just be ridiculous to throw it away. But obviously, I don't want to take the comment too seriously. It's just funny. It's a funny idea. Anyway, unrelated, I will now be retiring from my job and YouTube. I'm going to be going on an extended vacation for a long time. I've miraculously come into a large sum of money, so I will not be talking about Supercell anymore. Please boycott their games. I wonder how much Supercell would pay me to do this. I have like 3,000 subscribers, so I don't know. I'd do it for like $10. Hit me up if you're on Supercell, you're watching this. So after that whole situation kind of resolved itself, creators were responding somewhat positively to the updated blog post. And at this point, they actually have committed to making some changes to the game itself. There are some upcoming changes to Clash Royale that are dropping tomorrow, February 23rd, from when I'm recording this. Now, I'm a little bit paranoid and overly cautious because, you know, they have copyright striked people, so that's why I haven't showed any Supercell imagery. I'm going to continue not to do that, but I'm going to read some of the changes here, even if I can't show the image graphic. No more duplicate cards until you have 60 max level cards. You unlock heroes at Arena 5, so that's a little bit earlier now. There are no more random heroes. You choose which hero to unlock. They're giving away a free hero. There are going to be new Evos, so they're going to continue working on those, new heroes and new cards. From 4 to 3 special slots, 1 Evo, 1 Hero, 1 Wild, and 5-star Magic Lucky Chest improvements. So several somewhat major changes to the game and the gameplay, and people were pretty decently satisfied with most of these. A lot of people are saying this is the absolute bare minimum that the game can do, and this is a starting point, which I think that's fair enough. All right, but now we're going to pivot a little bit away from the actual news and the changes, just to my opinion and my take on it. I think people are giving them way too much credit here and are forgiving them a lot faster than they should be. To me, it just seems like Supercell is just trying to bribe people with a lot of these changes. Like, wow, you get a free hero now. Some of the changes are good and just like logically should have been how it works from the start, where you're able to choose your own hero. You should not have been able to get duplicate heroes. That's just like an absolute bare minimum change that should have just been implemented from the get-go. It's like the whole thing to me just feels like appeasement and bribery instead of actually listening to the community feedback. And this is something I mentioned in the past, but this just feels like the classic Supercell cycle of abuse. I guess more specifically, the Clash Royale cycle of abuse. But so Supercell implements a new change, update system, something like that. It is completely broken and everybody hates it. The changes hang around for a month, maybe a couple months. People continue to complain about it. Supercell slightly nerfs the item or makes it not as overpowered and as pay to win. And from this, they have more goodwill in the eyes of people. They're trying to fix the game. They're trying to balance the game is what it looks like. What it comes across as to a lot of people, including me, is they introduce something in the game that's really overpowered and is like meta breaking. and all the people who are going to buy it during this time because they want to use it and they want to be able to succeed at the game, then it's nerfed to the ground when, you know, the sales probably are starting to decline on it. And then they get a lot of positive PR and reputation for making these balance changes that make the game more enjoyable. And this is something that has happened time and time again and will continue to happen. And this situation just feels like a continuation of the cycle to me. I quit the game. I don't really have a desire to go back to the game. You can really do whatever you want, but I would just say be cautious. I don't think they really care that much. I think this is just a lot of just PR work, but I think this is just something everybody should be aware of and keep in mind, and not just welcome them back with open arms because they made some slight tweaks to some overall very widely negative game implementations. Do not forgive Supercell that easily, okay? This is a good start, but they need to continue to make positive changes and work with the community. One thing that's pretty interesting about Supercell is they're one of those companies that has a line of communication with creators that is like pretty openly out there, where they have like a chat where creators tell them things are good or bad or give them suggestions. Notably, a lot of them noted that they said in the chat, do not do the level 16 update. People are going to hate it. And for creators to be such a large part of the game and the feedback system that they have, and they say that they value them a lot, it's just sad to see that this is the way that things have kind of gone in regards to that, where they're kind of thrown to the wayside, even if they do seem to have a pretty largely positive impact on the game. Now, moving on from Clash Royale, that's obviously Supercell's biggest cash cow, so that kind of affects the company the most when things aren't going as well. There has been some backlash in regards to Clash of Clans recently. They made some changes to basically one of their like battle pass type things where you're paying monthly and you're getting rewards for that. And people were upset because this nerfed progression, I guess, by a somewhat sizable amount. And they did respond to this on Reddit. They said, a quick post about your Gold Pass feedback. Hey Chiefs, we've been reading your posts, your breakdowns, your spreadsheets, your memes, and yes, your very passionate feedback about the recent Gold Pass changes. We want to say this clearly. We hear you. We're not ignoring the conversation, and we're not pretending it isn't happening. The team is actively reviewing your feedback, discussing it internally, and keeping a close eye on how the changes perform as more players discuss the new system. We can't promise anything today, but your feedback is absolutely being taken seriously. If we decide to make adjustments, we'll share more as soon as we're ready. In the meantime, keep the feedback coming. What feels off? What feels good? What would you like to see in future reward tracks? Specific examples help us a lot more than you probably realize. We value the trust you placed in us over the years. We don't take that lightly. Thank you for speaking up and caring as much as you do. Now, I don't want to give them serious credit for just acknowledging people aren't happy about this implementation, especially because they're like, we're not promising anything. If we decide to change anything, we might not. I will give them like the smallest possible amount for just openly saying, we hear people are upset about this change. We're looking into it. Hopefully they make these changes and adjust this more to people's liking where they think it's fair and not a massive downgrade. People are using this to highlight the differences in the development teams between Clash of Clans and Clash Royale because, while they're united under the one company, Supercell, that owns their games, the teams that work on them are actually different. I do wonder if this is at all related to the Clash Royale revenue falling. I probably don't think it is, but it's like you see that going down and you maybe look to your other games like, ooh, maybe I can squeeze a little bit of extra funding out of this game. Probably not. That's just kind of some wild speculation. I don't actually think that's what's happening. It's just like their goal is to make money. They're really going to try anything realistically where they could potentially squeeze a couple more bucks out of it. This is a good example that it's not just Clash Royale that is facing these issues. I had a couple people just mention, that this is more just focused on Clash Royale, which it is. It's their biggest cash cow. So I feel like it kind of makes the most sense to focus on that. But there are several impacts across their other games with revenue and relevancy. And I mean, last time we looked at the Google Trends just for Clash Royale, but if you look for Supercell, we're seeing pretty much the same kind of trend where it's like Clash Royale is their main game that's driving their relevancy, so if that game suffers, Supercell as a whole is suffering as well. Like right here in the past year, its peak was like November 22nd to 29th. And then right now it's hitting it's basically at its low for the year at 17% of what it was then. It hit 14 in April 25, so it's pretty much at its all-time low for the year. I mean, Clash of Clans is it's not at its all-time for the year either. In July 26 to April 2nd, it looks like it was at its peak popularity for the year, and now it's down to 41%, which is the lowest of all year. All that is to say, the company as a whole is facing issues. It's not just the one game. as we already just went over too, there was like a shutdown of like a brand new game that had just launched. So that's really all the updates that we have to cover today. Like I said, don't be so quick to forgive them just because they made a couple positive changes. This is going to need to be something that is more long-term and sustainable to build player trust back after doing something like this. Thank you for watching. I probably will continue to do these because people still seem to be pretty interested and entertained by them. And that's obviously why I make the videos, is because people like to watch them. But yeah, that's really all the news that we have for today. So, you know, some negative developments, some positive developments, but hopefully things might be looking up for the future of the game for all the people that do enjoy it and have fun playing it. Drop a like and a sub if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Subscribe for the next part where I frame Mog Supercell.